somebody burnt the beans. You know, it never fails. Somebody's going to pull the pot off the stove, set it on the countertop, and what happens? The plastic laminate lifts, and oh, does it ever look ugly. Well, let's repair it an easy way. We don't want to have to cut the countertop away and put in a cutting board. Let's add some decorative accent to the kitchen counter. In this case, I'm just using a piece of countertop that I picked up to use here in the lab. First of all, you've got to take all that broken material away. Remove it, because what we're going to do here, we're going to use some ceramic tile inlaid that's going to add some decor to the kitchen, as well as give a good surface in the event if the accident was ever to happen again. Now here's the ceramic tile that have been selected. Matches quite nicely with the countertop. You can offset them. You can make it look quite decorative if you like. But in this case, we're just going to run them on top of one another, giving a nice spot to set the pot back on in the event if the accident was ever to happen. Now, how do you go about it? Router it out. Easily done. Have a ruler at home. Now, putting a ruler up against is not going to help in any way whatsoever. But the ruler will act as a wonderful guide for the router. And if you don't have a router, you can always rent a router. But let's get these all in place first of all. And then we'll draw a line all the way around using a felt tip. And that way we'll have a nice line to work with for the router. Take a felt tip and draw a line all the way around. Now use a felt tip, because when we router, we want to router the felt tip mark out altogether. The reason why we want to do that, because we want to leave enough room for the grouting. Always make sure when you're marking a countertop to use the dry erase marker. That way you can wipe it off very easily after you're finished. Now I'm going to use the ruler for a fence. Now the fence is going to be the guide for the router to run along in order for me to have a nice straight line along that dry erase marker line that I put on the counter. Now once I've got it in place, I can mark it with the pencil. Take it away. Now, how do I hold that fence on the countertop? Very easily. Use Velcro. There we have it down, setting on top. As you can see now, it's nice and flush with those pencil lines. And the ruler, being the fence guide, is nice and tight for the router to run along. One thing about working around a router, always make sure it's unplugged while you're setting the gauges and also any of the depths or any of the settings whatsoever. Also, wear a dust mask, protective glasses, as well as ear protectors. Now that I got it all routed out and all nice and squared off with the edges, we're going to take the tile and set it in place, making sure that we have at least 3/16 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch around the tile themselves. That way, when we apply the grout sealer in underneath, we're going to use an actual silicone grout sealer, being the adhesive and also the finished border around the tiles. It'll act as the tile adhesive as well as the framing. Okay. Now we can take the tile and set them into place into the embedment of silicone sealant, leaving that 3/16 of an inch to 1/4 inch. We're going to come back and run another bead of silicone all the way around. Just taking a cup of water and adding a few drops of dishwasher soap and mixing it with your finger now gives you a soapy film which you can go and really smooth that line out. Using silicones that clean up with water are a lot easier, and it gives you much more time to work with, and certainly a lot easier to work along a project as it's curing, because you never want to be afraid of silicone. It's very easy until such time as it's cured, and then you got the problems. But using water-soluble silicone gives you lots of free time and easy to clean up. Now you can take a pot off the stove and set it on the tiles. That way you're not going to damage the plastic laminate. Look at that. It looks quite nice, nicely decorative, and nice white border all the way around. Wasn't that difficult either. You can give it any number of designs with ceramic tile. All you have to do is router out the surface and set the tiles in. If you don't have a router, rent one.